Southeast Michigan has long grappled with ideas on how to move the region forward. A local radio station recently took the initiative to examine the history behind community issues with a view to producing solutions. Crossing the Lines is a new community initiative created by radio station 101.9 FM WDET. Its overall objective is to explore the issues that positively and negatively impact Metro Detroit communities. Station staff recently touched down at the Southfield Public Library to hold a community roundtable with area residents.
We've got a community meeting that we're holding as part of a special project we're doing called Crossing the Lines. We wanted to take a look at the things in Metro Detroit that divide us and unite us. And so Southfield was a natural place to do that. A place, the mayor says, it's the center of it all. And it's a place where Detroiters may come to move, people in Troy may come to do business, and people in Birmingham may come to shop. So it was a perfect place to come and have this community meeting.
Well, this event is part of more than a year's worth of work that WDET has been undertaking to help people to talk about what does it mean to live inside and outside the city of Detroit. Because we know that that's such a loaded conversation here in the region. You know, wherever you live, whatever your zip code is, comes layered with all kinds of additional meaning. And if you're from someplace else, then people project all kinds of meaning on top of you. And so that can be really great because it helps people to get to know each other quickly, but it can also be a really limiting factor, as we've seen through years and years of sort of dysfunction as folks have tried to work across 8 Mile.
WDET staff hopes that Crossing the Lines becomes an effective community model in converting long-standing perceptions that divide communities into localized solutions that unite them.
Yeah, back late last year, the Knight Foundation had a project called Soul of the Community, where they did a study of where people lived and why people lived in different communities around Metro Detroit. In different communities around the country. And that really got us thinking about Metro Detroit, why people live the way they do, why they pick this place instead of this place. And we thought, how can we get to the things that make people cross the lines? Geographical lines were the first things that we thought about, people who live in one place and shop in another, but also other sorts of things that people are dealing with, issues of diversity or issues of class, and how we can come together as a whole metro area to make it work.
To date, the program has also taken place in Redford and Ferndale and will be coming to numerous other cities over the next year.
Well, I think the first thing that we want to have happen tonight is we want to capture what the people in Southfield think is great about living here. You know, I think that's one of the biggest things, is that we always hear what's negative about where somebody lives, and we cast that back and we, mirror that back to a place to think less of it and sort of say that, well, where we live is better. So first and foremost, we want to hear what people think is great about Southfield. And then also we want to have a chance to hear what some of the assumptions are about Southfield, the preconceived notions, the prejudices and the stereotypes, and project those up. And I think people will hear over time, as we've been to Brightmoor and to Ferndale, we're going to be in Grosse Pointe, we're going to be doing more events in the city and Midtown. You start to hear versions of the same complaints showing up everywhere. So if we're complaining about the same thing about everybody else, maybe it's not really special. Maybe there's something else going on here. So that's what we're really trying to test out here. It's a big unearthing of all of the prejudices and the stereotypes that we have about each other based on where we live or where we work or who we are.
We want to get a better sense of what's going on in the communities that make up Metro Detroit. We want to talk to people, we want to hear their concerns in an informal setting where we can talk to people one-on-one or 10 people at a time, and really get a sense of what their concerns are, what their aspirations are, and what they want to do to make their communities better. We want to help get that kick started and then tell the rest of Metro Detroit about it.
WDET staffers feel that the program will tell much-needed stories about surrounding metro area communities. The stories center around a central question: how do we as a region behave when we create these lines, and does this serve our overall interest?
We've been working on this project for pretty close to a year, getting it ready to where now we're bringing it to the surface with Crossing the Lines. So we think this is going to go on for probably close to another year, because it's going to take a long time for us to travel around the region and ask these questions. And that might be the most visible part of it, where we'll be hosting conversations on the air and producing things for online and doing these community events. And at the same time, it's not about a series or a packaged set of reports that has a beginning and a middle and an end, because that's not really the way we live our lives. Our lives aren't a week-long series and then we could say, done, we figured it out. There's no conclusion. So what we're really saying is, we think this is a way that we can introduce a new, sort of a new structure for creating relationships across the boundaries. And then ultimately, people are going to have to do with it what they want. I mean, we're still just the media. We can be a powerful influencer. We can help to introduce new ideas into the culture. But at the end of the day, it's each person driving their kids to school or going to church or synagogue or the mosque or whatever that's gonna decide how they want to have a relationship with everybody else in town.
To learn more about the Crossing the Lines Community Initiative or other WDET programming, visit WDETFM.org.